the fork at the end of the road that asks you, okay, do you want to do design or do you want to do research? So at first I was determined to take this route and I was leaning towards research. So at first I had a UX design and research internship. So I took this to know what I want. And also aside from that, all of my other school activities revolved around that. And then when my internship ended, I realized that I wanted to experience something that wasn't in it. So anyway, I flew through that. I did my internship and then fast forward, I did thesis with my team at school. So at first, my teammates were actually deciding for the topic, and then we decided, since all of us were kind of musically inclined, we were leaning towards something related to human computer interaction or user experience related in music. So I mentioned human computer interaction. Let me define it first. So it's a study or multidisciplinary study actually that focuses on the design of computer technology and in particular interactions between humans and computers from the Interaction Design Foundation. So this is it's not just about chatbots, not just smartwatches. It actually encompasses a lot of things and it has a lot of applications. Yeah, including music, as I mentioned earlier. Some applications would be health. Yeah, especially health. There are a lot of applications in health. I won't be diving into that. So at first, we wanted to take that path of doing a research related to these two, but then again, it was a matter of it depends on your advisor if available siya o hindi. At there were some circumstances related to choosing an advisor that caused us not to be able to pursue these thesis. So magically, I ended up doing an AI thesis. So I with my team we worked on a natural language processing project. So natural language processing is a subfield of AI that allows computers to process and understand human languages. Maybe some of you already know this. Applications of this usually that are common is chat assistants. For some, sentiment analysis, which means you determine if some text is uh, neutral, positive, or negative, or depending on what label you apply, you use to those text data you have. So my project then was actually we mined data from Lazada and Shopee's Q&A section just to know what the users on the Q&A section. I think some of you know this. Lazada has this section there that people can ask the seller about stuff regarding that product, or if they have other questions that they don't send directly to the seller for some reason. So we did that and performed intent classification on those data. Anyway, so fast forward after my thesis, I had kind of a identity crisis. I wasn't so sure what to do right after, if I was gonna go back to my original UX route or am I gonna push through with my AI route. So after so much uncertainty, I applied again for another internship. So that internship was at Centi. I wanted to have research experience. So during my internship at Centi, um, it was then that I saw how different my software engineering class was compared to how they do it in production or yeah at work. It was so different. I thought that I was not prepared for all these things. I was so overwhelmed, like, oh shucks, so this is what they do at work. All we cared about before was whether this performance was right and stuff. But here in the outside world, it's like now we have to care about the client, and now we have to care about the cost that the client has to spend on it and stuff like that. So um yeah, it's normal for us to think that we are not prepared because no one is completely prepared for anything that's about to come, since no one knows what's about to come. But as I got more and more experience, as I got along with my other projects in Centi, the more determined I was about the path that I wanted to take. So yeah, um this is a segue, and it's not the best parallelism that I can provide, but the best buy I usually get is not the first thing that I see when I browse through online shopping apps. So I have to browse through other shops, best prices, quality through the reviews. I check if the shipping option is not something that will just throw my parcel around and stuff like that. So, another perspective would be is that some say that if you purchase something, think about it first for a few days before you check it out, because yeah, in a few days you might not feel like you need it, or you don't want it anymore. We also have to take in the same way. We also have to take time for our career path. We can mishmash together experiences we've had in the past. Like for me, it's my UX experience and the present. So my present is AI. So it could give us better ideas about what we want to do, or actually even ideas that we could be helped by what we experienced in the past. And also sometimes we feel pressure from the people around us, like, okay, you're just starting out now, why didn't you do it earlier, or something like that. Or why did you take another internship? That's another thing that people tell me. Why did you take another internship? Why didn't you just apply directly and stuff? um I think that we should allot time to think and reflect, that to see that our long-term goals align with our career path decisions. So that's my reason why. So yeah, let's start. It's normal to to feel pressured from the people around us, but that timeline is not ours. It's theirs. We have our own pace. So let me move on. Let me move to my next point. So don't be afraid to try out things. So continuing from my college experiences, all of my extracurricular work are UX, HCI, and NLP, which is what I mentioned here. So all of my pre-graduation activities actually revolved around these. Uh, since the goal then was like specialize, 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 and sometimes this kind of thinking can box people. It boxed me. It stopped me from trying out other things. It stopped me from actually looking into other possible subfields of computer science even. So, when I applied for my internship at Centi last year, I was asked by one of my interviewers, paano kung hindi NLP yung projects na papunta sa'yo? What if you don't get an NLP project? What if you get computer vision instead? So, of course, I wanted to get in because, yeah, I wanted to be trained and all. So, I said I was okay. But deep inside, I'm scared because I know nothing about computer vision. All I did in college was natural language processing. It was all about words, words, words. We didn't probably it's more of a fear of like I know nothing about other things. I I I I'm not prepared. Again, I'm not prepared. I said that so many times in my life. So, okay, fast forward, I got accepted as an intern at Centi. But then again, I ended up not getting an NLP project for my first project. So as mentioned earlier during my introduction, I worked on a project that involved anomaly detection on time series data. Well, to describe what the time series data is for those who don't know, it's just data that is collected over defined intervals of time. So it could be collected by the hour, by the second, by the minute, or by the year. And then anomaly detection would be to check if something is sketchy or unusual for a certain like progression of data, like something's off. So for those who want to know what it can be applied to, it one example I can give is cost projection. So you check which day or month, which day of the week or month or time of the year, like a quarter, has unusually high usage, for instance, of, for example, your data for your cell phone, mobile data, I mean. So at least if you know which times of the year or whatever days have high usage, you can allot more budget for that usage. So you can at least project the cost that you need to do for that certain time of the year. So it definitely wasn't the kind of project I wanted to have as a first timer. Especially I was the first timer, and at the time I was like, oh no, what am I supposed to do? And I think I was onboarded to this project on the, I forgot if it was the second, if it I was onboarded immediately during my first day, I think. So it was kind of overwhelming for me. Like I do not have experience with anomaly detection even. And yeah, I was surprised, but it was my stepping stone. It was a very good stepping stone actually, because it helped me learn about the software development process. I learned how to present to clients. We even actually had trips to our client's office to present what's done and stuff like that. And lastly, it eased me into Centi, especially as a fresh grad. It helped with my adjustment. So it helped me connect to my workmates and stuff. So even if I didn't really like that, I w- I w- I was going to work on an anomaly detection project for my first project, I was still able to use it to my advantage. And eventually, yeah, the thing is, most of the time we won't be able to get what we want on a silver platter. But we could use whatever is provided to us so that we could grow. So let's use these unpleasant experiences. No, I'm not saying my project was an unpleasant experience, but for some there could be unpleasant experiences. And um if we can use it so that we can grow further. And also it's okay if we didn't like the experience. If yeah, at least we know in the future that we don't like this and we like that, because after all we only know how something feels like once you've tried it. Like surfing. Though I haven't tried surfing really, but we'll only know how it feels like when we're in there, right? So let me move to my next point, that there's a role or subfield out there for you. So what I want everyone to know is that having an AI career doesn't only mean that the only thing that you could do is code, build code, blah 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 blah. Be a developer. No, that's not the only thing that we can do with an AI career. You could be someone who drives the team. You could be someone who designs the interaction between the human user and the chat assistant, for instance, like a conversation designer. Or maybe become the person who analyzes the client's problem and pain points and then like break it down so that the engineering team will know what to do. Something like that. So let me show you some of the roles in AI that I am familiar with. I generalize the process into two parts. So planning and analysis for the left side, and implementation for the right side. So planning and analysis, mainly you work with the client's data, check out what's happening, or that's if it's gonna be database. So for conversational assistants or chat assistants, of course, conversation designer. And the cloud architect or architect in general, well, not that architect. I this person will have to plan the architecture for the entire project, for instance, and make sure that everything works harmoniously, that every component will work well and will complement each other, so that when something goes wrong, for instance, you can immediately bounce back, for example. So the cloud architect is responsible for that. And for the business analyst and AI evangelist, so business analyst, I mentioned earlier, you can coordinate with the client so that you can further know or investigate what they really need in their company. So aside from that, I actually heard something about an AI evangelist. We don't know. We don't have this at Centi yet, but what I've read is that it's an someone who acts as an ambassador for the technology, and is focused on building relationships with people outside the company. So it's more of like being a Google Translate for the people on the technical side, and then you um preach it preach it to those people who are non-technical so that they appreciate the technology. So the other side is implementation. So this is probably what everyone else is familiar with. So AI developer and research engineers work on products and solutions. So as a research engineer, we have to research on um, whatever technologies we can leverage so that we can help improve our products and know also what works better, for instance. Or machine learning engineer and data engineer, usually they work on the pipelines. Pipelines meaning a workflow or process. For example, for the data, how do we ensure that the data is clean, for instance, and then how do we process it afterwards so that it can be usable for our products, for instance. Or a machine learning engineer is for the machine learning pipelines or deep learning pipelines. And then for the QA engineer, testing, make sure everything works as intended and that there are no problems once we turn it over to our clients. And the project manager, of course, who is the who acts as like the orchestrator of all the members of the team. So of course, aside from the roles, there are subfields and applications of AI. Probably some of you are familiar with this. Companies actually have their own specializations based on their products and core technology. So if you think that you're interested in a certain subfield or a certain core technology that you want to work on, maybe that could be useful when you're trying to match your interest with the company that you want to apply for. So yeah, for example, natural language processing, as I have defined earlier, applications would be chat assistants and well, yeah, natural language understanding, machine translation, like Google Translate, for example. Computer vision. So for those who watched Startup, yes, their core technology at Samsung Tech is computer vision. And we at Centi also have a solution or a product rather named Volant, which is you just need images of a certain document and then it will convert it into text. For audio and speech processing, a good application of this would be speech recognition and speech to text, text to speech. So from voice, you change it to text form, and then for text form, you can actually synthesize audio. So if you ever tried playing on Google Translate how some sentence sounds like, yeah, that's speech processing. We also have product at Centi named VA, which is actually a contact center AI um project. So yeah, we leverage speech to text and text to speech so that we can connect it to our language processing engines, and then they will be able to like emulate as chat assistant that becomes a virtual agent on the phone. So it's like chatting with the chat assistant but with your voice. So cognitive computing is more on making decisions. Robotics, this is pretty self-explanatory. For knowledge representation, this is figuring out how we can convert bits of knowledge, like yeah, for example, names or addresses or something like that into something that a computer can process, so that it's easier and so that it can be processed into some kind of other usable bits of data for the computer. Especially, all of us know that computers understand in zeros and ones. Of course, there are layers of abstraction over that until it becomes words, for instance. Like, of course, it goes under processing before it becomes something that the computer has to is able to understand. So for machine learning and deep learning, I would just describe this more of as more of helping the computer learn through example. So yeah, you just feed in training data that says, for example, for spam detection, you feed in emails with some sample emails, and then you label it as, this is spam, this is not spam, this is spam, this is not spam. So once you tell the computer that, okay, this is what spam looks like, and this is what not spam looks like, it will be able to determine that, oh, so this is how the spam emails look like. There are a lot of symbols and stuff like that. So after that, once the computer learns by example, once you present something that it hasn't seen yet, it should be able to identify if, for example, that email is spam or not, and so on. So that's just a quick rundown of machine learning and deep learning. So I won't dive anymore into that. So okay, so that's it for the subfields, applications, and roles in AI. And of course, I would like to acknowledge that yes, there are emerging roles, especially if the tech industry is so fast. So there are a lot more roles that I haven't listed here yet that you will probably discover, and that's up for everyone else to like check it out. So yeah, there might be some role that is fit for you, that you find comfort in. So moving on to the next point. I said that there could be a role for you, but there's no such thing as a perfect fit. No, there is no perfect role for us. Wow, I think I just contradicted myself, but yeah. No, there are no perfect candidates. They do not exist, and that includes myself. So why am I saying this? Even if I have experience through research in the academe when I was a student, when I went to Centi to take my internship, as well to eventually work here, I had no idea about deploying my machine learning model to production. Of course, before we only cared about, let's just make sure this has a good accuracy or a good performance in general, since that's not the only metric. But yeah, it's just not the same. I mentioned earlier that my experience from the academe kind of like surprised me when I got into an AI career. And also, aside from that, I am also admittedly bad at developing web apps because of the assumption that, of course, I'm gonna build something with AI in it. I don't need to know how to develop web apps, but I was wrong. Well, for some, yeah, of course, for bigger companies, there could be more specific rules for each one that you do not need to like know some stuff like this. But yeah, in a startup, you have to wear lots of hats, which is a good thing for me because I was able to see a lot of things happening. Like, I can see, for example, from the data collection part until the end of the production part. So yeah, at this point in time, I still have lots of questions that everyone might consider noob questions. And that's perfectly fine because all of us are still like, no one is an expert in everything. It's like you're a perfect person already. That's why there are no perfect people, right? And also, I would like to say that yes, it's also possible to hire people who do not have a background or experience in AI, especially those who decided to have a career shift, or those who completely came from a different course or like non-tech course. So yeah, we need to help these people, these non-technical people, to ease in and feel comfy so that they won't be intimidated about AI. Because yes, it's also possible to have an AI career even if a person did not specialize in AI. Like for instance, what if you focused on web development before you ended up in an AI career, for instance? It's still possible. And after all, the ecosystem of technology in AI is so vast that we need different talents to pull off something properly. Because yeah, if you pull in AI developers into one team, I don't think that they will be able to pull off something complete. So okay. So next is, yeah, it's already normal for people to to become hesitant or to think twice in starting a career in AI, or actually leave from an, or some people actually leave from an already existing AI career. So why do people hesitate? I have generalized them into two: knowledge gap and lack of interest. So for the knowledge gap, actually this is something that we can fix while you're in there, especially some for some companies. There are already, oh sorry, I so there are some programs for um some companies in order to help develop their teams to have more knowledge in things that they think they have lacking knowledge. So yeah, I'd also like to share that there's for those who are non-technical and want to like start somehow knowing to know about AI. So there's this course from Andrew Nang or Ing, yeah, entitled AI for Everyone. So this is like an AI 101 AI 101 course for those who still have no idea, or just a small idea about how AI is and what you can do with it. I'd also like to mention that I have a colleague named Andre, or Andresito de Guzman. So, uh, when we were at our Christmas party last year at Centi, we had this setup for, I think it was a college thing. So everyone came to the office wearing their school uniforms, and for those who didn't have school uniforms, they came as how they were when they were students. So yeah, and then we suddenly noticed that, yeah, Andre came into the office looking like a doctor, and we were like, "Huh? Ano bang course mo?" And we were all surprised because we didn't expect that he was actually so there's actually one of us who's not who's not into tech career, who didn't come from a tech background rather. So we asked him what his course was, and actually it was human bio. So yeah. For those who are asking, I saw that there are some questions about boot camps, or for those who want to shift in their career. So actually, Google has some, I think this is, wait, they have free labs actually on Google for those who want to like get to know more about how, for example, how to like start with your um data pipelines and stuff. They have free lessons, and then they will provide credentials for those who want to try the labs out. I'll pull it in later after the talk. So I'll share it later. And these things and courses can help us bridge the gap by self-studying. So this colleague of us, Andre, already bridged the gap through self-studying. It turns out that he's just a hobbyist, and he didn't learn coding from school and stuff like that. He only got into tech as a hobby, and now he's teaching people how to create applications. So cool, right? So it doesn't matter if you don't have an IT or CS degree or engineering degree. And also sometimes, yeah, I'm not good at math is also some kind of problem, but you do not need to like jump into it right away or learn calculus and stuff like that. It will come along the way as long as you kickstart it with something that will ease you in easier. Like the if you, I think on YouTube there are also videos from Google actually for from their IO talks and stuff. You can watch those. It can help you dive into it, into AI as an interest. If it you feel like you still have this knowledge gap, you can start with that. You can pique your interest first before you bridge the gap. So, okay, moving on is lack of interest. So, some people say that they're not interested in tech or AI, or they're intimidated by the amount that they need to know. So, thus they lose interest in it. So, for those who have watched Startup already, I'm not sure if everyone has watched Startup, but yeah, there's this episode where the main character Namdo-san, who owns this tech startup, well, AI startup rather. And then suddenly investors started coming into their office asking them about questions about their products and stuff, asking them about their business plans. But then again, at the end of the day, it's like after all those people coming into their office, nobody actually invested in them because the problem was a communication problem. Why? So yeah, tech companies should take note if people start leaving or like start expressing that I feel like I am not fit for this because I'm not a techie person. Uh yeah, there should be action on the side of the tech company because we need to like help people ease in, and we need to help them understand in a way or bring the level lower down so that we can break down to them that this is how it works and blah 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 without overwhelming them with all the math and all the calculus that they're like for all those math that you've showing them. It's like, okay, so what am I supposed to do here? So to prevent something like that, we need to be able to communicate properly to those who are non-tech. So this works as well for those who are in HR or for those, for example, in biz dev who feel like they're having difficulty understanding what's happening to the tech team, for instance. We have to adjust and bring the explanations um to something that's more easier to digest for everyone. Something that's um uh you have to like communicate it Ellie 5 or explain to me like I'm 5. Well, that's just an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. And also we shouldn't like bombard others with text explaining. So sometimes yeah, we overwhelm people like, yeah, this tech and this tech. Especially when we started hearing about blockchain. I think it was like so many people talking about blockchain and then they weren't even able to understand I not understand. Not able to like break it down properly, and then people just be like and then it's just it's just that it's the company's failure to explain in such a way that is understandable for the regular person who's not into tech. So yeah, let's not be like Namdo-san who does not know how to communicate his tech. So, and lastly, there's more than one path to success. So yeah, personally, it's fine that people have goals like I need to land a job in a big company, be a part of their AI team, blah blah blah, stuff like that. Yeah, that's success for some people. I'm not gonna invalidate that. Of course, I in the past also had that kind of goal for myself. But again, achieving something in a startup, like for example, just a very good accuracy and speed for a model, for instance, is another kind of success. Or to put it in other words, if you have a good product that works well and is accepted well, then that's another kind of success. So let's not box other people based on our own metrics for success, because in the end, yeah, success is something that we define for ourselves. Let's not let others define our success, because it's entirely up to us. Some people could say that success could be, ito, mataas yung pwesto nito sa ganitong company, or, ito, 6 digits yung sweldo, or, yeah, nakakabigay na sa community, and you're able to travel around the world, or you can learn new things, you're doing things that you're passionate about, or, oh, wow, he has a lot of free time, stuff like that. If other people have told you that you're successful because of that, well, let's just say that it's their metric of success for themselves and not for us. So, yeah, having a recap, let's have a recap from the top to the bottom. So, knowing what you want to do takes time. And then, don't be afraid to try out things. And that there's a role or subfield out there for you. And there's no such thing as a perfect fit, because there are no perfect candidates or perfect roles. And lastly, there's one path to success. So, yeah, again, I'm Jolene Valenzuela. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions for Centi, actually, you can ask them later during our booth or something. Yeah, you can email your questions or messages to hello@senti.ai. And yeah, my LinkedIn is linkedin.com/in/Jolene Valenzuela. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the career fiesta. Thank you very much. I'm done.
Wow. Thank you, Jolene. I might even consider taking up a career in AI after hearing your experience. Thank you. If AI is something that you guys are thinking of going into, you should definitely attend Senti AI session this afternoon at 4 p.m. Because number one, they are hiring. This is your chance. Number two, they have one of the best AI teams in the country. And number three, you can ask them anything, absolutely anything. So I can wait. I can't wait to be there myself. And yeah, so I'll see you guys there. I'll see you guys there later. Okay.
I think there are questions on the chat. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
right.
I'll just paste here the code labs I was mentioning earlier for those who are asking if there are any ways for them to study programming, for instance, also machine learning. Actually, what I'm about to share is actually a wide array. There are activities from Google based on their events that have guided tutorials and labs. So what's good about these is that they're hands-on. So you don't have to like um there are guides for you that you can like easily follow, and I think this provides also um I'm not sure if this provides credentials for uh quick labs, but there are a lot of activities that you can do here that you can code with the tutorial that they provide. So yeah, for those, okay, so how can you tell us more about how much intersectional work you get to do at Centi? So this is what I kind of the intersectional work that I usually deal with is more on conversational design. Sometimes for those for clients that require, for example, dashboards and other web applications that need to come into play aside from their model. So technically you have to like intersect their model and the user interface. So that's where we come in. But yeah, I think that's how married AI and UX can be. Mostly it's about chat assistants. And yeah. how you design the entire workflow from start to finish. It's like the entire customer journey. If you yeah. So that's what you have to take into consideration when building something like chat assistant, for example. So does anybody have any other questions aside from the studying programming? What's my definition of success? I think my definition of success is when I'm already satisfied, because I want to go back to the academe actually in the future. So it's more of like being able to learn. It's like being a lifelong learner is my definition of success. And being satisfied na hindi na ako more of like nakaka-contribute na ako sa society in terms of like helping other people learn and get into tech without getting frustrated or something like this. So, what
Hi, I have
tool?
a question.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So, for someone like me who's not very good at math, do I have to be a math king, a king of math, to become an AI engineer?
Actually, it's something that you have to work on if that's what you need. I mean, AI engineering, but it's not something that you have to jump into immediately. It's like something that you have to ease into. So you have to start first with like simple models first, like just for example, you only have to like do decision making for like two options, so A or B, right? So you have to in order to pull something like that off, you don't need to become a math king or something, but you will have to continually learn, and then eventually absorb um like math aspects of math like statistics and yeah, statistics. So oh yeah, someone asked about how was my internship like. My internship was very different because I was already a graduate then. I actually applied to Centi waiting for my graduation. So it's like that gap na wala kang ginagawa. And then I just so wala na akong classes, wala na akong projects out for school. So I had nothing on my schedule already. So I was able to dedicate my full time to my internship. So my internship was really different. For some interns, their internship would be there's this parang course it's like a certain flow eh. May sinusundan silang syllabus. So for that they have to like follow that syllabus, and then hindi sila involved dun sa parang large projects talaga. So it's more of like dedicated to their learning for like getting into AI and then what they need to know, especially the math. I think that's what they're working on for the interns na labas dun sa ano ko, sa for other interns na nakita ko. So, yung internship ko was different. Since my internship was since my internship was already ganun, like wala na akong ginagawa. I was immediately onboarded to a project on my first day, which was the anomaly detection one. So, it's like oh. Wait, this is wasn't I was expecting. So I was expecting, yun nga, what I mentioned, yung merong syllabus and stuff. Tapos hindi ganun yung nangyari sa akin. So my internship in Centi was like, yeah, hindi ko naramdaman na intern ako kasi ano na talaga, like we were working on an actual project na. I was with full-time members. Parang ano lang ako, parang nung una, syempre, parang saling pusa nung una. Kasi nga, ini-introduce ka pa lang sa mga ganito, sa ganito. Tapos, after that, wala nang intern-intern. I was already working on the project. So, which is a great thing kasi nakita ko nga, doon pa lang sa internship ko, nakita ko na lang, ganun pala mag-production. I had no idea prior to entering Centi. So, are AI companies open to hiring individuals who don't have that much CS background? Like, we would need to at least finish a course about the role, specifically to increase our chances. So, I mentioned something earlier about uh, AI for Everyone, which is a course by Andrew Nang. Yeah. So, AI companies should at least what did you mean by CS background, by the way? You mean like knowing how to code, stuff like that? Kasi I think na yeah. So I think na hindi naman need na marunong ka talaga mag-code as long as parang this is for for those who will not parang build the actual, as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't mean na pag sinabing AI career, developer ka na agad. That's what I meant. So if 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 it's like if it's gonna be like that na hindi naman AI engineer yung a-applyan mo, I think it's fine as long as you are like open na matutunan lahat ng technologies na ginagawa namin. And yeah, I think Centi will be the one providing the opportunity dun sa pag ease in yung mga courses for Andrew Nang and other adjustments that you have to know when you're working with an AI company. So yeah, the courses, yes. Kahit yung hindi AI for everyone. So yung courses niya in general are good. So if you want to learn about AI in general na for example, you didn't learn about anything AI in school or something like that. It's actually nice to take, and it's really helpful for everyone who needs to like jumpstart their AI careers. So there's this question. What tool do you suggest I use to perform sentiment analysis of a Facebook page? So, sentiment analysis of a Facebook page. Are you suggesting that you have to perform it directly, like you're gonna use an API so that you can access Facebook? Kasi sometimes Facebook has complex rules and stuff. I can't even mine data from there or something like that. So, uh, to directly perform sentiment analysis of a Facebook page, I'm actually not sure if it's possible to access information from a Facebook page directly. So uh I can't answer this question right now. But yeah. So, are there any other questions? Centi. Is Centi currently accepting virtual interns? I think Nika from our team is here. Can you answer that? I'm not sure. Or wait, Nika?
Hello, hi. Sorry, Jolene. Hello,
Yeah.
everyone. For virtual interns, we do understand that we're at that time where we're socially distancing from everyone, and so for our internships, we do accept interns virtually. So if you're interested, just message us or attend our session later, and we can guide you on how you can apply to Senti AI for your virtual internship.
All right. So, yeah, for okay. I saw something about data engineering degree from Sparta DOST. Can you land jobs here in the PH or outside? For I think regarding having degrees or if you have any other degree or certificate, or for example, I think what would be a better tool or thing that can help you with applying for an AI job is actually having a project. So I mentioned earlier the code labs from Google. So this is just like a jump start. But if you actually start with some kind of project, kahit mini project lang siya, that does like for example, it's like you have to build a portfolio then na you can do something like this and do something like that, put it in your GitHub or something that can be accessible para pag nilagay nyo dun sa pwede nyo siyang ilagay sa resume nyo or actually LinkedIn din. I think you can put you can put stuff on LinkedIn na ganun. So that you can showcase na even if I'm not in an AI career yet, this is what I've done so far. And you can use that to like ano din, parang aside from the cold labs, it's something that can help you assess kung gaano kalaki na yung natutunan mo if it works na. So yeah, yung GitHub repository would also be helpful. If you have yung github.io, uh, is everyone familiar with that feature na pwede kayong maglagay ng static website sa GitHub? So, pwede nyo rin yung gamitin as your portfolio or your virtual resume, and you can put your projects in there. And then, at least, when you apply, you can identify na, ito yung mga nagawa ko na so far, and this is what I've done. So, kasi ayun, I also want to share kasi nung in-interview ako sa Centi for my internship, they asked me about my projects. Ayun. So, yeah, if you have other alternatives dun sa GitHub pages, you can try other tools, though I haven't really checked kung ano yung available right now na pwedeng gamitin kahit free. Um, Yeah, kasi when I was interviewed for my internship, I asked what I have done sa ano tawag dito? Sa school. Kahit sa school lang kasi syempre fresh grad ako nun. So tinanong ako ano yung mga nagawa ko ng project. So yeah, yun yung one thing that you have to prepare for when applying for an AI career or get if you want to jumpstart your AI career. Yeah, projects. Yun yung mahalaga. Kaya, it doesn't really matter if, for example, you took this kind of very, very nice comsci course at a very, very nice school. If pag tinanong ka ano yung projects na nagawa mo na so far, wala kang may present. I think, yun, we take a look at your projects more and what experiences you've had with, for example, yun nga, kung ano na yung mga na-code mo. So, do you think IT roles now still consider educational background if you can't present a strong portfolio? I I can only speak for Centi though, but yeah, I think mas important ang strong portfolio. Pero for some companies, I'm not sure. Maybe they can answer. Some still actually consider yung educational background than a strong portfolio. But I'm telling you na strong portfolio will really help you. So, I'm curious. Ayan. So, someone asked, I'm curious, why did you apply for an internship instead of directly as a full-time employee? So, ang kwento nito talaga is undecided ako. I didn't know what to take talaga specifically. Parang, nung una, shucks, parang gusto ko na rin ulit. Parang ano ako tawag dito, parang nagsiswitch yung ano ko, yung kung ano yung gusto kong gawin. Parang, noong una, sige, UX research or at some point, UX design pa nga Tapos, sabi ko, ala, shucks, parang hindi to yung hinahanap ko. So, okay, AI naman, ganun. So, I applied for an internship thinking na it will help me with my decision to push through with my UX career before or kung ititigil ko na siya tapos lipat ako sa AI. Kasi, ano naman may experience ako na parang may pinanghahawakan ako na ito yung nagustuhan ko dito, ito yung nagustuhan ko dito. So, yeah, as I mentioned kanina, you don't really know how something feels unless you've tried it. That's why I applied for an internship. And, yun, I was able to get the feel naman na, yun nga, minimake talaga yung real life na scenario na what if naging ano ako, naging engineer na talaga ako ng Centi. So, yun, it helped me with my decision. So, kasi at the same time din pala, I was scared na baka 'pag hindi ko nagustuhan yung ano ko, yung ginagawa ko, if full-time na ako, parang ayoko na magkaroon ng 4 months lang dun sa ano, yung resume. Parang, "Shucks, 4 months ka lang sa resume, ano nangyari sa'yo?" Parang gano'n. That was my fear before kasi yun na nga, I was undecided. So, parang I didn't want to stick immediately for something na hindi ako sure kung magtutuloy ba talaga ako. So, what are some of the projects you've worked with prior to the internship? So, I can cite two, siguro. Yung unang-unang project talaga na trinabaho namin was, ay, this is ano 'no, school. So, prior to my internship. So, yung first project ko nun was ano, HCI related. So, it was, using, um it was a music tool na parang ginawa namin na it can do it's really air guitar, yun, in essence. It's an air guitar. So, if you know the Mayo band, it's yung our band that has gesture controlled computing. So, yung parang yung fingers mo, if you move them, it, uh, merong time series data na kino-collect regarding, like, parang siyang sa cellphone yung merong ano, I forgot the metrics that it collects. So, it knows if you move your finger, for example, tapos, yeah. So, yun, air guitar, that's what we worked on first. So, yung ano niya talaga is, you use the arm band to put on your left wrist, or actually right wrist, depending on what um hand you use dun sa chords. And then, we use that to train the model on some basic chords, and then yun yung um basis niya. So, yeah, technically, it's still machine learning. So, that's the first one. Tapos the second one was the Lazada Q&A na intent classification. So, for those na unaware pa, ano yung application ng intent classification, you just classify yung intent ng person based dun sa, um, kasi kung ano yung, for example, features ng Lazada, 'di ba, online shopping siya. So, what can you do there? So, based on what we can do on Lazada, we tried to use yung data doon to classify yung mga intent ng mga tao na nagko-comment or nagtatanong sa Q&A. And it turns out na maraming hindi nagtatanong sa Q&A. More of like, nagrereklamo sila. They use the Q&A section not to ask but to complain about their product. So, they do not use the private message. Yun. So, musically inclined. You plan to implement a project for music streaming as a sideline. Regarding sidelines, no. I wasn't able to like do a side project na um on my free time. So, uh what skill did you have to learn from scratch to help you? Yung Lazada. Wait, I think that I have the paper for that one. Yung Lazada. So, if you want to like have a copy of that, actually I can send you an email since this is under naman yung research laboratory namin ng college. So, what skill did you have to learn from scratch? Oh yeah, building an API. That's what I had to learn from scratch to help me with my current role. So, syempre when I was in college, I just focused on my ML and DL, well, machine learning, deep learning skill sets. So the other things I kind of ignored, like web development for instance, I kind of stopped them na kasi I knew in mind na dapat dito ako mag-focus. So when I got into actually, pa, yun, maski networking stuff, yun, networking is something that I really, really, parang got out of focus from. Kasi, sabi ko, ay, hindi ko naman kailangan yan. Tapos, I was wrong. When I got to, like, when I started working na full-time na sa Centi, this was, yun na, nung time na kailangan na namin na, syempre, kailangan yung mag-connect sa, ano nyo, 'di ba? Sa end ng client nyo. So that's where the APIs come in, and then for other things, yun na, networking. It's more of the integration part talaga na sobrang na-shock ako kasi hindi ko siya prepare for myself, or hindi ako na-prepare for that moment na kailangan ko na palang balikan yung mga networking lessons ko in college kasi hindi ako, yun nga, hindi ko focus doon. I thought I was prepared na. So in the end, yun nga, walang perfect fit kasi I probably know yung ano ko, like yung tawag dito, yung mga kailangan kong malaman for my AI skill set, pero pagdating dun sa other aspects na nagkulang na ako. So that's where I had to bridge the gap. And I'm thankful na yung mga colleagues ko sa Centi are actually providing us with opportunities, like meron kaming development program for, yeah, we can take courses na feel namin na may gap nga, may knowledge gap. So whatever knowledge gap that is, we can bridge it para hindi kami, pagdating ng project mismo, hindi kami masyashock. So I think, yeah, networking skills. I mean, network for, ano, yung technical na networking, hindi yung communication skills.